Hello and welcome. Today we've got Dr. Lana Morrow, and today we are going to be discussing a neuro program that she's working on that boosts dopamine production. Now, just before we begin, you can subscribe to our Telegram channels and to nicholasveniamin.com for my free email updates. And if you're watching this for the first time on YouTube, I will leave the link below in the description for the full interview, unless, of course, myself and Dr. Lana can choose our words wisely due to the insane censorship that's happening right now. Dr. Lana, thank you for joining me. How are you and what have you been up to?
Hi, Nicholas. Things are great. We're working really full speed here and healing a lot of people. And things have progressed at a very rapid pace, much faster than I thought it would go. And so we're kind of fastening our seatbelts and going fast, and with incredible, joy and happiness. So this is really, really good for I think for all the community and everybody. We just were told today that finally we got a full confirmation this morning that our paper in Nature has been published. So now we just have to wait for a few months to appear publicly, but this has been a culmination of an effort of about 14 years and of many, many team members. So that was really a joy today to wake up to, really amazing. And other than that, we have healed many clients. I will discuss that with you today. So that's in brief. And how are you? How are things in London?
Everything is good here in London. First of all, congratulations for your papers. That's paper in Nature. That's really interesting for you and great. So I believe you want to show us a presentation of your work, of before and after of your clients. There are words that we can't use because of YouTube. So we won't use the word healing, but we'll say that you're removing certain symptoms and problems away from your client. First of all, before we go into the presentation that you want to show us in a minute when you show your screen, why don't you tell us what the Neuro program is and what does it do and how does it actually work?
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity too. It's a non-invasive program, and it's consisting of a recording headband. So the headband rests on your top of your scalp. Similar to what you have when you put your sunglasses up, when you put them up and they're just standing there very lightly. So that's exactly how it feels. It takes literally maybe 2 seconds to put them on because it has proprietary electrodes that pick up the signal very swiftly and very homogeneously from your scalp. Nothing goes into the person's scalp. Everything just translates very smoothly and linearly. And even though on some level it's linear, on some other levels it's in quantum. So when it's quantic, we don't talk about linearity, of course. What happens is that the signal is transmitted at a very rapid pace in nanoseconds. And it continuously grows and co-creates the program as it goes with the computer and with the player. It presents as a very simple game, neuro game. It is indeed a neuro program based on years of scientific knowledge, not only of ours, but of our colleagues of many, many years of science. We're talking more than 50 years of data, which we translated into spreadsheets and put it together. So this is the background. But the proper, presentation that we have during the training, the subject sits in the chair very comfortably in front of the laptop and simply commands the neuro program, the game, a very simple game, with their mind. And that makes them feel relaxed, focused. And after about 5 sessions of literally 1 hour each, people reroute their brains. So we call that neuroplasticity.
Wow, that's amazing. I do remember speaking to you over the weekend, and you mentioned that, this Neuro program has helped people walk after 26 years of being on a wheelchair, which is almost a miracle to hear. So you're saying that just by playing a game with my mind, that this has a frequency vibrational impact to my neurons in my body that's able to repair itself and I become well. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. So it's not, it's a very scientifically driven program. So I just want to make sure that people understand that it's not something out of a sci-fi movie. It's really, it took us, my team and myself, which is more than 500 people, we really worked very hard day and night for this to happen. And tested all these technologies, which are minute technologies. They're usually micro technologies that are very light, and they function very well. So we tested all of that through rigorous testing and rigorous engineering for trials and errors for many years. So since the theoretical part I started in 2008, and all the practical parts with patents and engineering groups and all that has started in 2011 properly. So it took us a while, it took us a long time to really technologically derive all the precise elements that then enabled us to pick up these signals and create algorithms and test these algorithms, so that the result is, first and foremost, I think that, let's say, if somebody has PTSD or ADHD, people can actually sit in front of the program, and in about 2 sessions, they already start feeling much, much better. They feel much more relaxed, much more focused, and they report, this phenomenon holding for many days after the training. We have data now of 3 to 4 years after the training. The results hold, simply because while you're playing, again, you're looking at the screen in a very focused way. You co-create the program as you go in real time, and that's the unique feature of our program. You co-create the program with the technology, and it measures your levels of various aspects of your biophysical data. And in real time, non-invasively, it enables your whole photovoltaic being and your energy from the scalp. It titrates it and adjusts it to the levels of the desired optimal functioning on the Gaussian curve that is tailored in real time for you. So it's a frequency-specific, subject-specific derived program. And again, I work with many, this is not just credit, this is my idea and my work and my financing, but I work with many brilliant people, and most of them are not only neuroscientists, but they are quantum mathematicians, quantum physicists, physicists of solid states, physicists, astrophysicists, and we work with engineers that are known for finding water on Mars, Honeybee Robotics, and probably about other 8 groups of engineers that we have engaged with for quite a while. So it's been done properly, very rigorously tested. And this might sound boring, but the results are fun. And we're doing a lot of interesting things now with the technology and expanding it to levels that will soon be known to the public in a very fun, proper way. So it's good.
Now, you've helped people, you've changed people's lives, people who've suffered from MS, from Parkinson's, and even lupus. So what is it exactly about this game that actually has an impact, tailored to that client to help them on a neuron level, for an example? Is it the sound? Is it the visual? What is it exactly?
It's a multi-program game, so or neuro program. It enables the the viewer to look at the screen in a very kind of relaxed and focused way. So when you're looking at the screen in a very focused way for about 30 minutes without a break, you're definitely creating new. You elicit. So it's the program is designed in such a way that it elicits production of dopamine. So once you produce a lot of dopamine in the brain, it creates a bath of dopamine, and it creates a bath of BDNF, a brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And when that happens, when you start rerouting, when you start flooding the brain with beneficial factors, what happens is that the new dendrites start forming and new neuronal connections between the synapses start forming. They basically link like that. And once you have that formation going, we call that neuroplasticity. You create new pathways. The person's brain starts limiting the amygdaloid response. Amygdala is the body in the brain, the gland in the brain that elicits, it's a certain stress hormones. We don't want stress hormones to be present. And that usually happens when you have a trauma, when you have any kind of impact that is really strong. Research has shown, not mine, but other people's research has shown that these kind of impacts, they can have lasting results simply because you start engrooving the pathways, prefrontal pathways. And these are usually they're linked to dopaminergic pathways. They're linked to even nucleus accumbens. So it's linked to almost like addictive type of repetition. All of that can engroove the negative pathways. So what we do, we suppress the activity of amygdala. So your amygdaloid response is not anymore in fight or flight moment or mode. And you do that yourself. Nobody actually exogenously puts anything into your brain. You are the one who is co-creating the game in real time and rerouting your brain pathways. You also elicit activation bilaterally. So nervus vagus is a nerve, it's a 10th cranial nerve that goes from, is responsible for parasympathetic nervous response. And it enables you to govern your body, your parasympathetic areas of the being in a way that is regulating your heartbeat, your breathing, your even we believe impacts regularization of mitochondrial activation. So I work with many neurogeneticists and mitochondria specialists. And so we put together research in such a way that we can identify areas in the brain or in the body that demonstrate that certain specific areas are activated. So your question was, why is this functioning in such a way? It's functioning because we know what we're doing. We have studied the specific areas of it for quite many years, step by step. We have tested it and verified it. There are no side effects. And at the end of the training, in our research, we have taken the brain maps before and after, not only the brain maps, but also scholastic data, data from the parents, neuropsychological data, psychological data. We have tested, for depression, anxiety, ADHD, focusing. Actually, there is no test for ADHD, but focusing, memory, short-term memory, long-term memory. We have performed something like more than 100 tests before and after, and then analyzed all of that with big data analysts because it's a complex statistics on some levels. And at the end, we have shown on the brain maps that effectively certain areas of the brain activate and certain areas deactivate. So effectively what we see in children in this research, which is just being published now, we see that children who have had scholastic issues or math issues or language issues, they actually cease having those issues go away. We also find that focusing increases, So people are more focused, they're more established in their being. They report, inevitably, everybody reports being more centered. So this is a very kind of impactful, I think, exercise in which you reroute your brain. You end up getting, scientifically proven data, scholastic data, fMRIs, DTIs. We show the results in neuropsychological data, EEG data, that actually certain specific frequencies that are beneficial for focusing and for memory stay, and they stay for a long time. They sustain themselves. So that's one thing. I think does that answer your question?
Absolutely, yes. The other question that I have is, what's the benefits of, dopamine production, and also which are the ways of, which ways do we naturally create dopamine in our bodies?
It's a very nice question. So what we do, we're beings who kind of run on love, if you want. We do have propensity to feel good in our natural state. So we will, if you hug your dog or you hug your child, you elicit not only oxytocin, but you elicit also dopamine and serotonin balances. So we feel good the same way that we feel good when we score a goal, when we swim for a long time, and then we have a successful, goal reached in whatever form that means, that presents itself, or whatever it means. It may be that you have run a marathon or swam part of the triathlon, and that's also a great goal achieved. So I think that when people have that they engage in very strong emotional or physical activity, you elicit dopamine, and dopamine is a feel-good reward hormone. So it'll make you feel happier, even better performer, like people who are athletes, even Olympic athletes that I work sometimes with, they score better, they perform better. People who are, who require to focus a lot for their work, and who are really, thinkers and engage that in thinking, in heavy duty thinking every day in their reality, they end up having great success. We measured, I think, an increase of about 35%. So with regards to people who have concussion or ADHD or PTSD, we're able to increase that capacity. So PTSD goes away, concussion symptoms go away, and people feel stronger, happier, more focused, and more relaxed. And so the stress goes away. And for these, medical reasons that I mentioned before.
Right. So so basically, in a nutshell, you're saying that if Trump takes back the White House, my dopamine is going to hit the roof, and I'm going to feel stronger and happier.
You will be very happy. Knowing you will be very, very happy. I think the fact is that the economy was much better before. So I think a lot of us will be very, very happy.
Of course.
And I think we're ready to celebrate rather than, be stressed out all the time.
Why don't you?
What I do.
Absolutely. Dr. Lana, why don't you go ahead and share your screen and show us the PowerPoint that you would like to share with the viewers, please?
Thank you. Let me just... Do you see it?
I do, yes.
Okay. So the uniqueness of, as I said before, of our program of Think is that we are geared towards ameliorating people's lives, improving people's lives in a very non-invasive, absolutely non-invasive, natural ways. So I want to emphasize that, because sometimes people wonder whether, especially somebody in your audience, I think, was wondering whether we're engaging in artificial intelligence. Just the opposite. We're not engaging in artificial intelligence. I coined the term organic intelligence. We celebrate our humanness, our own DNA, our own capacity to really grow into our full potential. And, humans are magnificent creatures. We're just beautifully alive, and we can do a lot with what we have already. So we can stay in this frame of mind and body of being healthy and strong and young. We can engage in younging and through various, process of dopa hacks or things that we do that make us feel good. So this is just a little bit about me. We did get some high-level recognition for our work. Again, it's just not only me; it's really a lot of other people, many team members. You're only as good as your weakest link, and I'm lucky and privileged to be surrounded by amazing people. So what we have the data and proof now is that we can create sustainable production of dopamine, or well-being, if you want, of attention, sustained attention, focus, resilience of mind, speed of thought, agility of thought. Set shift really stays there. Immediate results present themselves after this non-invasive training. We're able to perform better, and we have medical and the technological data and verifications for that. We have patents, we have recognitions in various certifications, technological and engineering wise. So this is how it looks like when you present it on a screen. An individual, in this case, a woman, sits in front of the screen, in front of the laptop, and just with her mind governs the game. So you're moving objects. It's called assisted telekinesis. You're moving objects on the screen with your own mind. And that trains you, elicits lots of dopamine, because the stimuli hit your retina. And in retina, we have the most numerous elements of dopamine receptors. And so this is just an example of a picture of dendrites and neurons. And so at these levels here, we see increase of activation and synapses. This is a synapse that is present, when this group of dendrites touch the other dendrites. So they transmit, in this case, dopamine, or sometimes acetylcholine, and they make you perform better. For example, in brain trauma, we have, we all have had minor concussions, or some people have major concussions. What happens when you have a whiplash? Your brain floats in the synovial fluid, and it can actually hit the cranium, and then some ruptures occur. So what we do, we actually aim to reset those connections with new connections. New neuroplasticity happens, and it actually creates a better state of mind. So here are this is a very nice video that is not from my laboratory, but from somebody else. But you can see these dendrites exactly right here. See right here? They're connecting. And this is a speeded up time lapse over 36 hours. And it's from in vitro recording. But you can see how they're forming connections. These are the same dendrites that I was showing in the image. And look how they're holding connection, and they form a synaptic transmission here. And therefore, the signal will really fly, will be fast, and it produces many more connections in the brain. That's called neuroplasticity. These are some data that we have on. By now, we have about 82 traumatic brain injury clients, but here we had only 27. We see that the anxiety decreases by 86%. Mental fog increases by it improves, it just goes away. And mobility, and that happens rather quickly. So I was working with a few people, in Boston and Columbia, at Mount Sinai as well. We have been speaking with different researchers about, what happens when people have traumatic brain injury or concussion. Generally, especially athletes, let's say in NHL, NFL, hockey players, skiers, they all have impactful, accidents, and they generally perform with mental fog, and they have to stay in dark rooms. They're not able to really go and play on the field. Think enables them to actually go back on the field rather quickly. These are some of our brain maps, and we see some of the activations. These are maps, the results of about 12 people who have undergone fMRI before and after, and we see activation and increased activity in medial prefrontal cortex, which is essentially responsible for decision-making, awareness, and in some areas also we have areas that, in anterior cingulate gyrus in our cortex, we see, activation, which is why then children and adults who have trained with us don't have ADHD anymore. They actually emphasize the activity, their brains emphasize the activity in these areas, which are responsible for prefrontal cortical areas. So here is the example, which I think is very dear to my heart. This is a 24-year-old young man, very, very bright. He ended up in a car accident, and he'll tell you that with his own words. I hope you can hear it nicely.
So I am dyslexic. I have ADHD. I have auditory processing disorder, and that's what I want to release out of myself. Okay. I also broke my back and got in a car accident. So I believe there's nerves in my head that have malfunctioned.
Are you experiencing pain still?
Yes, a lot on the left side.
And what do you have, like headaches?
Yeah.
How frequently?
Maybe 2 or 3 times a day.
A day?
Yeah.
Are they strong?
Yeah, they are.
We'll fix it. So as you can see, he was in a car accident. He was in pain daily, about 3 times a day, which is really so sad. And he's an active, active young man, and it was really hard on him. So I'm trying to open this. There we go.
I can see better.
After 30 minutes.
My depth perception is better. I can see color more. My thoughts are clear. And it's clear. I don't know what else to say.
How's your mood? I know it's
really
good. Crying at that point.
It's really good.
This is very touching. Very. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
And more to come. We have tomorrow's.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I'm so happy for you.
And my eyes, like they're moving, like like straight.
So we'll read tonight. You'll read a paragraph. I'm curious. What'll happen, but you'll see.
Yeah.
So we also ask people to read a paragraph or two, because if he's dyslexic, we'll see whether he can read much more with ease. And this is him after basically the next day, after he had only 2 sessions, and he was experiencing, I think, joy. And this is my issue here. I just have to get it to open. Sorry about that. I don't know what is going on with. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
Okay, here we go. I had it. How are you feeling? How was your experience?
I feel energetic. My eyes are realigning together.
Yeah.
Just into like a straight line. My eyes are realigning into a straight line.
Oh, great.
I can start to see more depth perception. I can see better. Let's see.
How is your mental clarity and sharpness?
Mental clarity and sharpness is really good. It definitely improved.
So on a scale from 1 to 10, where would you say, where is it?
Probably like 9 or 10. Yeah.
So you're feeling really smart at this point.
Yeah.
Definitely. And brain fog that you had before from your concussion?
Gone.
Gone?
Yeah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, where is the brain fog?
0 and 1.
Great.
Yeah.
And anxiety that you had at the beginning, where is it now?
0.
Yeah. Wow.
Anyway, you can see that he's feeling much better and he's functioning much better. This is another case of a girl who fell from the top of the cheerleading tower, and she had to stay. She had a massive concussion. She had to stay home from school, and was really not feeling well. So she was mainly spending her time in a closed room.
Hi, Miguel. How are you feeling?
So good. I feel like so like light and like airy and just good about myself. And everything just
It makes you feel happy.
is so good and so happy.
Yeah.
Large doses of dopamine elicit happiness.
Was it like foggy
people
or
feel a little
clear?
high.
Like foggy, and I was like, what? And now it's like, woo!
And what do you feel? How do you see? Let's see. How do you see colors and texture and everything?
It's clear.
It's clear.
Yeah.
And what? How's your thought process right now?
Much sharper and faster.
So this is the same girl then the next day.
Hi, Michaela.
No.
How are you feeling?
Sorry. There you go.
I read a
So she
paragraph
calmed down
of
a
a
little
history
bit, and now
textbook, and I
she's more
read it in
rational.
1 minute and 7 seconds, and I understood it completely, and then I recited it to my mom. And when I went to bed, I usually have trouble falling asleep, and it takes me a long time.
Yeah.
And I usually wake up in the middle of the night, and it's hard for me to go back to sleep. But last night, I fell asleep right when I was tired, and I didn't wake up the whole
And you woke up really refreshed?
Yes.
Okay, with a lot of energy.
Yeah.
Good. So what did you think of that?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, she just told me how light.
So mother is happy. This is her after 4 months. That's also very interesting that things actually remain,
But when
They
I had my
ameliorate,
concussion,
they get
it
better.
was so hard for me
She got better at school, she got
comprehend
better
things, and
with
it took me
her
so much
thought
longer.
process,
Like,
physical
things that
activity.
I would take like 8 or 9 tries, and now after this, I'm reading it the first try, and I'm understanding everything, and I'm like, just like I feel like a totally whole new person. And one of my teachers.
And this is her mom. She's very happy. And the teachers actually did not know that she engaged in training.
With Michaela.
So, Michaela, I have my daughter back, and even better than before. We
How
had.
did you notice? What did you notice? It's better
So
before?
Michaela's moods, she was so down on herself. Her self-esteem was in the gutter. She was working with a psychologist to try to improve her mood and deal with her emotional roller coasters.
Okay.
She decided as of last week, she no longer needs to see her psychologist. So
So then we have, for example, a Parkinson patient here who is, this is after 3 sessions. Before that, she was in a kind of walker.
Good.
She couldn't really walk. Now she's walking
Thank you.
much
Come
better.
back to me.
She's 72 years old. She used to be a marathon runner.
Beautiful, Janet.
But you can see still the mask. She has this Parkinson look. And this is the same lady after 7 sessions. And okay.
I feel like
She's able to skip.
Yeah.
And
Turn around
she
and
doesn't
skip
have
towards me.
what we call the Parkinson mask
Oh my
anymore.
God, you're beautiful.
She's very happy. This is a paralyzed woman who started moving her legs. And after first session, after 6 sessions, she was able to really move much better. And I shared with you, I don't have it here, but I shared with you the cerebral palsy client who, after 26 years of being in a wheelchair, he was able to stand and walk. You saw that. This is an autistic child who had
autism. And I think he is pretty much in mainstream classrooms now. I mean, I know that.
I did not disclose that. But how was it?
This is after 2 sessions. He's still rocking. He was aggressive and not able to go into transitions from the classroom to classroom. He had assistants, 2 big men assist him. And he was still very anxious. That's how they soothe themselves, by rocking. This is the same boy after the training, after five sessions.
It was great.
What did you like about it?
Oh, it was just relaxing and it was just not stressful or anything. It's just calmness.
Okay.
And many kinds of other stuff.
And I think that you have noticed that you're able to be more focused.
Mm-hmm.
And do you like being more thoughtful about it? How does it feel?
Great.
Feels good? So feels much less anxious. And then now he's really performing really well. And there is a boy here who was recruited at Princeton for his Facebook.
Hey, Lana, I just want to say that the sessions that I took this summer, they've helped me tremendously. My ADHD has gone away. The ADD I had reoccurring is totally gone. And my hitting's gotten better with baseball. My football, like catching the ball, seeing it in, 10 times better. I can focus on books better. I mean, it's totally changed my life. Amazing. You are amazing. And, I don't know what I'd do if you weren't brought into my life.
This is rewarding. This is a professional.
Hey, Lana, just wanted to shoot you a quick video to let you know some of the progress that I've seen so far. One would be in my reading skills. I've noticed that I read much more smoothly and quicker, and my comprehension is better. So that's been fantastic. Also, just my overall productivity. I've noticed I just knock things out and get them done. It's not that I'm frantically running around and doing things like a madman, but I just approach things as they come and I get them done. I've noticed that I've knocked things out on my to-do list, but also there's often times where I notice I traditionally would have added something to a to-do list, but rather than do that, I just go do it right in the moment. So that's been fantastic. Also, I've noticed that I'm much more decisive in my decision-making. So I'm able to make a decision on something much more quickly. I think through what I want to do and then execute. But at the same time, I'm more insightful. I find that I'm examining my approach to things.
Yeah, because the brain reroutes. So I would say probably 20 to 30% of what we allocate to anxiety and to amygdaloid stress, we can then reroute and shift it to productivity. And so this is what he is describing. He is describing his productivity, and so this is just some of the testimonials that we have. We have been given quite many good accolades. And, people recognize our work, not only as, groups that we work with, but also, most of all, what I think is very important is the clients that really benefit from what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
wow. That's really amazing. You've made miracles for people. You've changed people's lives with the Neuro program technology. It's amazing. I would like to try it myself. And I was going to ask you what happens, how does it impact somebody who doesn't have MS or Parkinson's? So for instance, a day-to-day person that goes to work, has a family, how would it impact them if they were to try out the Neuro program?
So, for example, somebody like yourself or people who work, I worked with a lot of people who went on Bloomberg Go, or on television, or movie stars, or sometimes I work with performers, musical performers. Their performance increases, their creativity increases, their speed of processing increases. So they're able to remember the lines, remember material. For example, if you are on live show on economy at 7 o'clock in the morning, and you have to quickly talk with people about economical facts, you are not given a script in advance. You just have to perform and kind of wing it, improvise. And so people, when you have an agile mind, when you have a brain that works really fully, you're able to perform without any kind of pause, or you're able to go back into your long-term memory and shift it onto your working memory, put all this together very quickly, and still crack up a joke or be relaxed and not be stressed out about it. So stress levels decrease very, very notably. And then people start hyper-performing. So what we have the data from some clients, from some high-level firms, where we worked with clients where their productivity increased quite a bit, and they ended up having income, the revenue increased a lot by 35 to 38%, to be precise. And with scholastic age children, those who are either gifted and talented, or people who are really just want to perform well, they end up getting better grades and becoming better athletes. What I find very interesting and really beautiful is that empathy increases. So people are much more kind to and aware. It increases consciousness. So you become much more in tune with divinity consciousness, and you're able to meditate better. You're able to get downloads better. You're much more aware of your role on this planet. We all, and especially in these times of ascension, we have come here with a purpose, with a goal. And I think the goal is love, and our awareness of the fact that we are limitless. We can do so much just by elevating our consciousness and staying in this state of love and bliss, which is, we all talk about it, but it's not always so easily achievable. People are, especially if you're stuck in the rut in the 3D, and you're constantly stressed out and really not, you're living in lack mentality, then that's harder to then achieve what you want to achieve. But if you shift just a little bit laterally and you understand that, hey, we're here to play, we're here to love each other, we're here to uplift each other, to really be good humans, and whatever that means to be a good human. But I think for me personally, it's just the fact that you can be aware that every action, every breath of yours makes an impact at large. So if you have that consciousness, then you try to be kinder to people and really more aware. And it's, we're all humans, so we're not perfect, and we will slip back and forth. But if you really put a good heart and good foot forward, I think that's how it impacts the average person, who then is more aware, more conscious, and performs better, sleeps better, is more aware of their actions and how their actions impact others, and tend to do more empathic and things that involve a community rather than themselves. So I would say they tend to then become more in the service of others than in service of self. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
So how would you think the Neuro program would impact somebody who's, very old, frail, weak, and also somebody who is old, frail, and weak, but with Alzheimer's and dementia?
So I did work with a lady, I think she's 82. She's not your example of the frail and old. She was a Wall Street CEO. And then when she retired, she started writing plays and performing them as a, one woman show. So she came to me because she said that her creativity dried out. And so we trained, and after 5 sessions, she was able to write 3 plays. And one day she said, well, I'm walking down the street, and, I can walk around Manhattan quite a bit. And I said, well, what does it mean? How much did you walk? What did you do? And she said she had an iWatch. No, she goes, well, I've stepped 19,000 steps. 83 years old, 90,000 steps, that's a lot. I don't think that I do that daily. I'm in the gym, but I don't measure 90,000 steps. So resilience increases and people don't have the afternoon slump in average older people. Now, if you have Alzheimer's or early dementia, we have only worked with stage 2, up to stage 2, both Alzheimer's and dementia, very early stages. We have not only with Think, but also with other measures. I include holistic living, acupuncture, activity, yoga, of course, brain training, lots of magnesium, lots of supplements, green algae, oxygen, a lot of oxygen, whatever measure we can bring it in, even hydrogen peroxide. Lots of modalities can be included. Blood IVs, ozone IVs, methylene blue IVs. There are a lot of ways that you can actually activate your mind and body and resuscitate and regenerate. We believe that we're actually creating neurogenesis. That's part of our new project now that we have been published and embarking on sets of new research studies involving some technologies with our neurogeneticists. We're working on new technologies, including new technologies of monitoring of the cells, and also with CAT scans, we'll be zooming into specific dopaminergic receptors. We want to prove that with thinking only and with training only with the mind, it can actually not only reverse aging, which is the book I'm writing, it's called Younging, but you can actually de facto produce new neurons, produce new cells, and rather rapidly, because we're talking quantum field. So we're talking in quantum time, or no time. So that's how it impacts. People get better. So you saw that Parkinson lady, a lady who suffers from or suffered from Parkinson, she's visibly better, and that sustains. Of course, the Parkinson has its own progression. And I think one has to be mindful, especially if it's non-idiopathic Parkinson, meaning that has been induced from maybe toxicity or some other impacts. One has to continue with detoxing and supporting the infrastructure of the lymphatic system and cellular system, especially paying attention to mitochondria, inner walls of mitochondria. I like to work with mitochondrial specialists and cell geneticists to really target that part as well. So essentially, that's what happens.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job. I love the sound of everything of the Neuro program that you're doing. This interview has got me so interested in even wanting to participate to increase my focus and energy and even happiness too. But we are running out of time. And Dr. Lana Morrow, it's been an absolute honor to have you to share this with the viewers. So thank you so, so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Just stay in love, stay in higher frequencies. And if you feel so cold, you can go on my Instagram. There is area with Dopa Hacks. It's free for all. You can just look at what you can do under 2 minutes to raise your, happiness level. You can, watch the sunset, sunrise. You can watch the sparkles on the pond. You can hug your dog. You can have awareness of being in a good state of mind. You can pop up your best song and, move to it. Most of all, I think it's all about being mindful and raising your awareness and just stay in love. Just know that we're all together. We're all in it together, and the best is yet to come.
Absolutely. The best is yet to come. Dr. Lana Morrow, thank you so much. And we'll speak again soon. God bless you. Bye-bye.
God bless you.